Joe Webb is dead. Well, the curse of Joe Webb is dead anyway. We'll talk about all that and more coming up next.
The following announcement has been paid for by
the ENN Podcast.
He has a good energy, you guys.
Yeah. Can you believe it? Can
Sports.
you feel it? Can you feel that excitement?
The merchandise, wearing the hats.
Chris Wild here live from Lincoln Financial.
And I'm telling you, if you let Eli Manning walk into that stadium...
Music.
Wow.
Man, again, and I hate to do this again, but these are goose...
Whoa!
And more.
What's his next book gonna be called? Spineless?
Mike.
It is just always a better beat when the Eagles win, and when they did last night, an unprecedented, unwanted Tuesday night football game against the Washington football team, putting them to 7-7 for the year and a real chance of making it to the playoffs. The playoffs. That's right. I'm professional wrestler Chris Wild, live from bar 4133, and the drinks were flowing yesterday at the link as the Eagles went ahead and finally had a game after 16 days. Of course, the bye week happened, and then the Washington football team decided to get each and every player on their defensive line and most of their roster put on the COVID-19 list. The league gave them a couple extra days to get ready. It didn't do much for their quarterback room, as a guy that was on basically the street, was on the New England practice squad just a week before. Garrett Gilbert, who ate Gilbert Grape, I don't know, but I know Fletcher Cox on the defensive line ate Gary Gilbert yesterday. That sounds disgusting and weird and perverted, and I didn't mean it that way, but you get what I'm saying. The Washington football team got absolutely annihilated, as they should have, by the Philadelphia Eagles. And we saw Jalen Hurts, who we hadn't seen in 23 days, coming off a high ankle sprain. A lot of questions surrounded him. And just let me tell you a little bit about my experience, because yesterday was myself and my father's annual Christmas game. Of course, it was supposed to happen on Sunday. It had to happen on Tuesday, and there was a weird feeling throughout the entire day. I mean, it was pretty gray. There was chances of rain. That didn't happen during the tailgate. Went to the 4th of John tailgate, had some amazing pulled pork sandwiches, free beer courtesy of Bud Light, Conshohocken Bakery with those awesome tomato pies. It was a great feeling, but it was a weird feeling, and everybody agreed. It was just a weird feeling surrounding that game. We get into the game, section 233. Shout out to them. What a absolute rambunctious, I bet you haven't heard that word in a while, rambunctious. What an absolute crazy, reminded me of the 700 level section that was. Hashtag use your row. If you know, you know. I mean, it was just amazing. There was a fight, a huge brawl between Eagle fans. I mean, these guys were absolutely crazy. Drinks, like I said, were flowing all day long for Section 233. And look, the game started off absolutely horrible. I mean, the worst way you could expect the game to play out, it did. As a Washington football team, because of an interception like I've never seen before, literally off the back of Dallas Goedert's foot, a ball that he should have caught that was put right in his hands, sets the Washington football team up to go up 7-0, again, with Gary Gilbert. Gary Gilbert playing quarterback. Jalen Hurts fumbles the ball, is very careless. I saw, and which resulted in one of my favorite moments from the game. I'll get to that in a minute. And now Washington's up 10-0. Are you kidding me? I've heard about Joe Webb for the past 2 weeks. I'm just over-exaggerating. I've heard about Joe Webb since the game was moved to Tuesday. Now we're going to have to hear this name, Gary Gilbert. Gary Gilbert. Not Gabby Gilbert, but Gary Gilbert for the rest of time. And I could just see it coming. The Eagles came out flat. They didn't look prepared. You could tell that they looked definitely rusty. After Nick Sirianni, after this fumble, and this is one of my favorite moments of the game, Nick Sirianni absolutely chews Jalen Hurts out. The cameras caught it. And Jalen turns into a different guy after that. Has one of his best, if not his best game as a professional, totaling 300 yards passing, almost 40 yards rushing, 3 total touchdowns. The guy looked absolutely awesome after that moment. He looked like the quarterback that we all want him to be. And the The football team had their defensive line back. They had their entire defensive line back. But the Eagles' offensive line, they are bullies. They are homewreckers. They are absolutely dominant. And Jason Kelce and the boys dominated that Washington defensive line, letting the Eagles actually run for over 250 yards. It's mind-blowing. No team has run like the Eagles have over the course of a season since the 1985 Chicago Bears. Now, the fans absolutely bullied the Eagles into running the football. If you remember the first 6 weeks, they just wouldn't do it. There was a game, it was against Dallas, that they got destroyed where they only ran the ball 3 times. Now look where they're at. Everybody's running the football. Jordan Howard looks amazing. Miles Sanders had a great game. Still no touchdown. Got to work on that. And Jalen Hurts had to take off when he had to take off. I mean, just an absolute awesome game for this offense. Now, my big gripe comes with the defense. To me, Gary Gilbert, I can't wait till this video's over so I can say his name anymore. Guy like Gary Gilbert should have had the worst day of his life, and he didn't. At times, he looked pretty decent, actually, for a guy that is basically, I mean, picking up the playbook like a menu at a friggin' Waffle House that he's never seen. I mean, it's just, he knew what to do, but he didn't know the plays exactly. But he did, I mean, he had a pretty decent game. Didn't turn the ball over. At times, he was running for his life, or he was getting destroyed. Fletcher Cox had his second sack of the year. Just kind of unreal that he's only had 2 sacks. But at the end of the day, Gary Gilbert is probably the reason why Washington didn't have much fight in them, because I think that the coaching staff and even the players knew this guy's just not going to get us a W, especially not here at the Link. And they were feeling themselves after that 10-0 hole. The way I look at it, the Eagles spotted them a couple days and 10 points and still whooped that ass. Now, that's what the 2021 Philadelphia Eagles do. They whoop bad teams' ass, and I'm not saying that the Washington football team is exactly a bad team, but for what the hand that they were dealt, and I'm not going to sit here and completely hate on these guys and act like they weren't dealt a bad hand. They were a bunch of guys on COVID, and the guys that came back didn't practice all week, and now a 5th-string QB. It should have been a lot worse than it was. Now, do I think the Eagles would have beat a fully healthy Washington football team on this day? Yes, I do. It was just, if Jalen Hurts is playing like he was, if the line is playing like they were, absolutely. It would have been closer, but not that close. But guys, now we go into a giant game this Sunday. And there's breaking news always. Of course, COVID-19, the 125 players have been put on this COVID list in the past week. It has hit the Philadelphia Eagles, and this one is concerning. I'm not talking about LaRaven Clark, who's put on there from the offensive line. I'm talking about head coach Nick Sirianni. Nick Sirianni probably had his best coached game or called game against the Washington football team. He has looked absolutely awesome for the past 6 weeks or so. The guy, I mean, really, depending on what the Eagles do the rest of the year, this guy could be coach of the year, in my opinion. He will be calling the shots from wherever he's held up in, because he felt some symptoms, tested positive. Now, why this is so concerning for me, I mean, I think his whole staff is kind of tied to him. I think they know what he's going to want. I don't think it's going to be a big deal that he won't be there for the one Sunday against a horrible Giants team who I still can't believe the Eagles lost to, and there's a reason why I don't trust the Eagles, because they lost to this absolute debacle of a football team known as the New York Giants. However, Nick Sirianni was around Jalen Hurts a lot. He was around a lot of his players a lot. I'm hoping, I'm knocking on wood, I'm praying that they did not catch this from him, because if they did, you're looking at what could be a sizable outbreak. And if that happens, because the league set the precedent this week, they're going to have to postpone that game against the Giants, which they probably should have moved to Monday anyway. But best wishes to head coach Nick Sirianni. And with that being said, guys, I got one more thing if you're still with me. And I want to talk about, first off, again, big shout out to Nat for the headbands over there in Guess LA. But also this awesome, can you believe this? ENN merch. That's right, this ENN hoodie. These bad boys are about to go on sale probably after the holiday season. It's a shame they weren't around for the holiday season, because this thing is absolutely awesome. Look badass at your tailgates or at your New Year's Eve parties. Hopefully it'll be available by then with the ENN merchandise. With that being said, guys, I've got noise all of a sudden in my background, so I'm going to get out of here. As always, stay safe, stay healthy out there. That is the most important thing. Go Birds, and I'll see you later.
E-A-G-L-E-S, Eagles! E-A-G-L-E-S, Eagles!
I need Eagle Nation to stand.